Today, the Roman Forum is a silent collection of sun-bleached marble. It is completely still. But if we rewind the clock to the year 117 AD, that silence shatters. This was a living megacity, erupting every single morning with the barking of dogs, the shouting of merchants, and the strike of blacksmiths' hammers. At this moment, the Roman Empire is at the absolute peak of its power. Its legions patrol borders that stretch from the rain-soaked coasts of Britain, across mainland Europe, and deep into the deserts of the Middle East. All those paved roads and conquered territories funnel back to a single geographic point: Rome. It is the largest city on Earth, with more than 1 million people crammed into its twisting streets. As the sun rises, the realities of life here split sharply. Up in the hills, noble families wake up in sprawling private villas. Servants lay out fine clothing and draw fresh water from fountains to prepare the morning meal. Down in the valleys, the majority of Romans wake up in towering apartment blocks called insulae. Several families share tight, dark rooms where clean water is scarce, and the threat of building collapse or fire is a constant pressure. With 1 million people packed into a dense urban center, separated by such extreme conditions, how did this massive machine actually survive a single day without tearing itself apart? The answer starts early. Thousands of citizens pour out of the insulae and stream down into the center of the city, converging directly on the towering stone columns of the Roman Forum. This open square acts as the central nervous system of the empire. Beneath the shadows of marble temples, senators debate new laws, lawyers argue high-stakes cases, and politicians address massive crowds. Right next door, that political energy leads directly into the marketplace. The volume spikes as merchants unload massive shipments that have arrived by sea and land from every corner of the known world. Looking at this trade network, you see grain arriving from Egypt, olive oil from Hispania, spices hauled from Arabia, and silk imported from Asia. The legions conquered the territory, and this global network extracts the value. These gold and silver Roman coins prove the point. This standardized currency lubricates every transaction across millions of square miles, ensuring that no matter where a merchant travels, the money carries the same weight. This morning crush functions as a transformation. It processes provincial conquests and distant resources into the concentrated wealth that powers the capital. By midday, the Mediterranean sun heats the crowded streets, driving tens of thousands of citizens toward to public baths, monumental stone complexes that cover entire city blocks. They function as sprawling civic centers. Inside, you find expansive swimming pools, heavy exercise yards, immaculately kept gardens, and even fully stocked libraries. Their true function is sociological. When a wealthy senator and a poor laborer take off their clothes to enter the water, they remove their visible class markers. They sit in the same pools, sharing the same space. In this environment, access flows freely. Business deals are struck in the saunas, political gossip spreads through the pools, and everyday citizens rub shoulders with the elite. The baths act as vital social glue. By providing the poorest citizens with access to world-class luxury, the state intentionally diffuses the tension of a highly unequal society to keep the city unified. As the afternoon sets in, the focus of the city shifts. Tens of thousands of spectators pack into the Colosseum, generating a roar that echoes across the surrounding hills. Beneath the wooden floor of the arena, combatants prepare for the games. Some are condemned prisoners or enslaved people forced to fight. Others are volunteers, risking their lives for a chance at extreme wealth and public fame. We can see the literal tools of this violent industry in this mosaic, which depicts gladiators locking shields and swinging swords in active combat. These games serve a specific political purpose. By parading exotic animals and orchestrating lethal combat, the state proves to the public that Rome holds absolute dominance over both nature and human life. While the crowd cheers the bloodshed below, the emperor observes it all from a safe distance. His sprawling, gilded palace sits high on Palatine Hill, isolated from the noise of the streets. He dictates the fate of nations and commands hundreds of thousands of soldiers. Yet he lives in a state of constant paranoia, entirely surrounded by ambitious political rivals and the threat of assassination plots. The public violence of the arena and the private paranoia of the palace work in tandem. Both are mechanisms designed to maintain absolute imperial control over a sprawling, volatile population. Eventually, the sun dips below Rome's hills. Merchants board up their stalls, the urban machine powers down, and tired workers navigate torch-lit alleys back to their apartments. The stark divide between the classes returns in the dark. Elite Romans recline on couches for banquets that stretch for hours with live music. Meanwhile, the city's poorest residents eat simple meals of bread and olives in tight, quiet rooms. Those specific evenings eventually ended. The generations that lived them passed on, the empire fractured, and over centuries, the vibrant city of 117 AD decayed into the silent stone ruins we walk through today. While the million people who occupied those streets disappeared, the logic of their systems, the trade networks, legal codes, and civil engineering, became the baseline for how future nations would govern and build. We can see their physical legacy in this historical photograph of a Roman aqueduct. They built infrastructure with such efficiency that portions of it still stand, and in some cases still carry water. They left behind engineering marvels that continue to defy time, like the massive, unreinforced concrete dome of the Pantheon, still open to the sky exactly as it was nearly 2 millennia ago. The emperors are dead, and the roaring crowds of the arena have fallen completely silent. But the daily rhythm of ancient Rome, the integration of global trade, public infrastructure, and centralized law, set a precedent for how we organize and sustain our own cities today.